Hello, hello, hello. Let me stop this music here and let's get started. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Shoot the Hoot RAW. This is episode 19. And today we're tackling something that's been missing from cybersecurity for way too long. Guess what it is? Fun. Let's be honest. Most people treat security training like a dentist appointment. They don't look forward to it. They don't talk about it. They definitely don't cheer each other on. Can you imagine? Go, Chuck. You got that routine now. You're killing it. Let's go. No, 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 no. But guess what? What if we flipped all that? What if training became social, competitive, and even a little addicting? That's what we're exploring today as we introduce a brand new feature in Autopilot platform called Train with Friends, where users can connect, compete, and actually enjoy staying secure. Let's face it, even Carl trains harder when someone's watching. Let's jump into today's flight plan and see what's actually coming. Okay, welcome aboard, my friends. It's time for another flight through fun, functional, and sometimes freaky cybersecurity truths. Here's what's on deck for today's episode. Kick off with a 5-minute rant about something we're finally changing, the myth of solo training. You'll see why team learning isn't just more effective, but more fun, including a live demo of our Train with Friends feature. Then it's time for our CyberHoot Nerd Update, where we'll show off some new features that make your experience faster, smarter, and smoother than ever. And we'll wrap all this week up with a Hoot Where the Horror story, a real tale of what happens when everyone trains alone. Spoiler alert, it's not a team win. Let's kick things off by talking about a culture shift from mandatory training to meaningful, friend-powered learning. Okay, let's be honest. Cybersecurity training has a bit of an image problem. It's usually a lonely checkbox chore. Just Carl, his laptop, and a sad little progress bar. No feedback, no accountability, no fun. And that's a problem because lonely training rarely leads to lasting behavior change. All right. So, in fact, studies show that learning in groups can boost retention by up to 70%, especially when there's positive reinforcement and peer accountability involved. When users train alone, they rush through just to get it done. They forget what they learned, and worst of all, they don't care if they fail because nobody's watching. Now, we're not saying that Carl's a slacker, but he's definitely not motivated by isolation. So what if we flip that? What if we made training social, supportive, and maybe even a little competitive? Let's take a look. Here's the truth. People just don't learn, forgive me, people don't just learn better together, a little tongue-tied there. They compete better too. That's why we built Train with Friends. It's a simple but powerful shift. Let users connect with coworkers, let them see each other's training progress, and give them friendly nudges to keep things moving along. No shaming, no leaderboard of doom, just positive reinforcement and healthy accountability. Because when your users can say, hey, Carl, I beat your score this week, they're engaged. And when they see a friendly rivalry forming, suddenly compliance isn't a chore, it's a challenge, and even a little fun. This is how you shift cybersecurity culture from checkbox to team mission. Let's show you how it actually works in Autopilot. Okay, so let's pop the hood and show you how the Train with Friends feature actually works on our Autopilot platform. First, users can send a friend request right inside the platform. No need to be awkward. Just click, connect, and you're in. Once connected, you see each other's training progress, your leadership ranking, and who's leading the charge. Carl's finally starting to take this stuff seriously. Let's take a look with an actual live view. So I'm going to share my screen. Last time I shared the screen, I wasn't very successful. I didn't actually share the screen. So we're going to try to see if we can share the screen this time. Remove and add to stage. Here we go. So let's go over here to the friends. So inside of our My Friends, you'll notice that when you go to your My Assignments page, all your users have a My Assignments page. It has My Assignments, My Cyber Rank, and now it has this new My Friends. So The My Friends has a number of visibility settings. You see we have anonymous, friends only, and public. So anonymous means on that leaderboard that gets seen by everybody, you would be anonymous if that was set, right? They would hide your name, it would only show the store, etc. Now, if you turn on friends only your friends can see your name. So that means you have to have a friend down here in order to be able to see that name. But then if you set public, all users that are in your tenant, that are in your actual company, can see your trainings without having to be a friend of yours. So you can kind of see here that it looks like Matt in my friend group is actually leading the bunch here with the 96. Those young Thundercats are really good, right? They're sharp. Now, and Katie, how come it's the two youngest people in the company that are leading the charge? Maybe they're taking it more seriously. I don't know. Anyways, and then Craig, our fearless leader, coming up with a strong third in my friends group. Now, you see right now I have no current friend requests in. Now, if someone had requested to be my friend, this is where it would show up. It would say, hey, look, Craig wants to be your friend. Brad wants to be your friend, right? Now, instead, I could always go over to add friends. And any friends that are in the platform that want to be seen can actually send a request here. So what basically happens now is I can actually send Raph a friend request. He'll get an email in his inbox. Once he accepts that, I can actually see him on the public board. Now, where do I see this? Now, this is great. This is the administration of how I can add my friends and stuff. But where do I actually see stuff? Now, if you guys haven't seen this, we have this very powerful My Cyber Rank page. It tells you all about your store, your history, how you can improve. Ignore those late submissions by me, right? Too much development work, I guess. So we come down here, of course, your to-do assignments and your completed assignments. Now, down here, by default, you see all the public, it's like a public leaderboard, right? Now, if I've got friends that have already made friends with me, you can see them here. Now, you'll note that Raph is showing up here. I'm like, well, why would Raph be showing up? I'm not his friend, but Raph is public. He's made himself public in the platform, so it means we're going to see his name. Now, let's say that Raph's score starts to drop here from 96. I'd show, if I had a 96, I'd be showing it too, right? But if he removes that public form from his status, then he would come up as anonymous. Now, I could always go back, of course, and send a request to him as a friend to see him, but he's public. I don't really need to do that right now. But then you see the other people here are just the anonymous, right? These are other people in the company who don't want to have their training shared. Now I can also toggle this, and all the store stuff will change. So these are just my actual friends, right? People that are actually friends or public, and I can actually see what their scores are, et cetera. We can see what makes up their score, how they're doing, completed assignments, you name it. There's a lot of stuff here. Late submissions, Phish test failures, a lot of good stuff in there. So you can see, train with your friends. Have a little competition with people in your company, right? It's friendly competition. Encourage each other on, boom. What I like to do is I've actually put in a request for this. I want to see a spot here. Like, for example, I got an 83 on this one. I want to retake this guy, right? Or like here, I got a, let's see, another 83 here. I want to retake this guy. Now, right now, I can only see my details. I don't think I can actually retake this right now. No, I can't. It just gives you the results of this one and how all my friends did on this actual test, right? So I can actually see how each of my friends did on the test. But what I want to do is I actually want to retake that. So we got it requested now, so we can actually retake the quiz right or the test right from there. Now you can do this today underneath my assignments here. By going on these complete assignments, you can view the assignment and then do the retake there. But I want to add it over here in the Cyber Rank page to make it a little simpler. And that is our friends. Now, you may be saying, well, in our company, we don't want to do the friend sharing. We don't want to do that. It's not a problem. All you have to do is come into your environment, go to that tenant, that customer, and once you go to that tenant or customer, click on the settings. And in those settings, you have this new feature down here where you can actually turn off the ability to train with friends. You just uncheck this guy, and then the ability to send a friend request back and forth. All that stuff goes away, but you still have the standard anonymous leaderboard inside of the platform, right? So that's how our friends feature works. Pretty straightforward. Puts people on the same page, puts them on the same team. There's a little bit of friendly competition. It's a lot of good stuff in there, right? So, it's why? People say, well, why? Well, I realized that once the business owner or the MSP actually ends up working with ShootTheHoot, we want to keep the actual end users happy as well. We want to keep them engaged. And by keeping them engaged, we are putting more things to the platform that make it more fun. So why does this actually matter, right? So let's go back to our slides here, right? So why does this actually matter? So studies show that peer accountability increases training completion by up to 55%. So when it's just you and your inbox, no. But when someone you know is watching your progress, you show up. It's kind of like a Peloton for cybersecurity, minus the spam debts, right? So plus everything stays private to just your friend group. No global leaderboard, no shame, just support. Our goal, make training something your team talks about, maybe even brags about. So go ahead, train with Carl. Challenge Lisa. See if you can beat your boss's score this week. Speaking of friendly upgrades, our DevOps haven't just been training, they've actually been building as well. Let's check out what's new under the cyber hood with this week's Cyber Nerd Update. All right, our nerd update. Where are we? Where are we? There we are. Boom. Cyber nerd update. So it's time to pull back the curtain on what our DevOps have been tinkering with behind the scenes. And no, it's not just some more coffee automation, though noted on that one. So fixes, features, and fresh names. So we've crushed a few bugs that were throwing off report accuracy. So including some MSP aggregate and cybersecurity summary reports showing some funky numbers. That's been problem, sorry about that. My headset said disconnected and reconnected. Hopefully you can still hear me. So funny numbers are gone. Dark web scanning, back on track. Little issue there, back on track now. We've also added a new internal alert system to catch user sync issues before they become real problems. Oh, and if you notice a typo in your friend request email, no, Carl didn't write it. That's fixed now too. So platform-wide renaming initiative. So we've been battling this thing where, if an MSP signs up, a business signs up, a school system signs up, they all see customer in the platform, right? So big changes here. What we've done is we've officially swapped customers for tenants and organizations for sites everywhere in the platform. Why? Because clarity matters. And this better reflects how resellers and businesses use our platform. Let me show you. Back to the stage with our interface. Come over here now, you can see at the highest level, it's the tenant dashboard now. Tenant dashboard here. You can search your tenants. You can add a tenant. These are tenants. If an MSP signs up, they do have different customers / tenants. They can add them in. If a business directly signs up that has 5,000 employees, they can come in here and say, I want to add a department or a tenant. That tenant can represent a department. Or let's say, for example, that it's a school system that signs up. That new tenant could be another school in the school system. So that naming convention, just that little swap there, makes a big difference, right? Now, also, this is all about perception of how I'm feeling in the platform. What am I actually organizing? Now, we also have this switch site. So we changed organizations to site. This is only available if you got more than one deployment. So 99.9% of you won't see that, but I'm pointing it out anyway. But that's available to you as well. All right. So let's stop the share. I think we're done sharing now. Boom. Add back to the stage. All right. So addition to that, give a little water break there. So we also have improved on our custom hoots program enhancements. We've been leveling up custom hoots as well, upgrading our SDK and our APIs, adding full program support to power-ups and autopilot, and refining compliance merging for smoother reporting. Now, you want to create those programs in autopilot, you certainly can. Translation for all that, you've got more control, more customization, and fewer compliance headaches. So use those programs, assign them out. Now, that the bugs are actually squashed and the platform's looking fresher than Carl on Casual Friday, let's flip the mic and open the floor to you. All right. So it's time for our open mic Q&A. Curious questions and a little bit of friendly fire. Whether you've got questions about today's features, platform, naming drama, or how anyone can survive caffeine-free, we're all ears and slightly caffeinated. We've talked about culture shifts, training with friends, and why Carl should never be allowed to rename platform elephants. Yeah, we don't want Carl on any elephants or doing anything, right? Platform elements. But now it's your turn. Ask us anything. You want a sneak peek of what's coming next? Are you wondering how to convince your team to start training together? Curious if CyberHoot devs have a secret handshake? We don't. No question too big, no curiosity too small. Just keep it friendly, because remember, we're calling this friendly fire for a reason. Let's see what's in the inbox or live chat. Go ahead and fire away. All right, first question. Can users see each other's stores with Train with Friends? Yeah, just showed that, right? But only if they accept the friend request. So it's totally opt-in. If you don't want anyone to see your store, don't show it, right? Don't make yourself public. Don't make friends with anybody. Your scores will be anonymous. No one will know who you are. But once you're actually friends, then people can see each other's individual training scores. They can see leaderboard scores across all the different power-ups, like the auto videos and hoot fish and attack fish, and maybe even exchange a little bit of friendly trash talk back and forth. I remember one of our customers telling us how they started comparing and competing with each other in the office. It really got cybersecurity being taught in the office. It was awesome. So think of it like cybersecurity's version of Duolingo streets. But instead of learning Spanish, you're avoiding phishing emails. All right? What other questions do we have? All right, question 2. Is training with friends only for internal teams, or can MSPs use it across clients? So for now, it's internal only. Friends have to be in the same tenant to train together. But MSPs love it because it builds a sense of community inside client organizations. And who knows? Inter-tenant competition might be a future feature. We've already have a tenant leaderboard in the platform that only admins can see. Imagine Carl versus Carl across companies. Funny. Now, we've seen how training together creates accountability, camaraderie, and even a little healthy competition. But what happens when no one trains together? No reminders, no encouragement, no leaderboard motivation, just silence. Awkward, wasn't it? Right? Just silence. So it's time for a tale of what can go wrong when your cybersecurity culture leaves everyone training in a vacuum. Buckle up for this week's hoot-worthy horror story when everyone trained alone. But first, boom, be the first to send friends10 to ShootTheHoot@cyber.com and get 10% off your next invoice. Write the email, click send, and get that 10. And if you're not watching live, still send that code. Maybe no one has yet. Get at it. All right. With the horror story. Picture this. A mid-sized accounting firm with 85 employees. The IT director rolls out cybersecurity training with good intentions, but zero accountability. There's no follow-up, there's no reminders, no leaderboards, no manager check-ins. 1 month later, 4 people completed the training. One was the IT director. The others, overachievers who still use fast machines. Then came the phishing attack. The email, sloppy. Typos, weird logo, it's obvious. When your team hasn't practiced spotting these things, 17 people clicked, 6 entered credentials, and 1 even forwarded it to a client. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Now they're dealing with client trust issues, internal audits, and a very awkward board meeting. Moral of the story, training isn't enough unless people actually do it. And that requires culture, accountability, and just a sprinkle of peer pressure, which, by the way, is exactly what our new Train with Friends feature was built to do. And that's your cautionary tale of the day, friends, because nothing says team building like getting fished together. But seriously, culture eats compliance for breakfast. And when users train with each other, not in isolation, the magic starts to happen. So speaking of magic, we've reached the final descent of today's episode. So let's wrap things up and talk about what's next. That's a wrap for this episode 19. We hope you're as excited as we are about the Train with Friends feature. It's more than a feature, though. It's a culture shift, one that turns isolated training into a team sport. But let's face it, everything's better when you do it with a friend, even phishing simulations. But don't forget, if you've got questions, feedback, or just a funny Carl story, send it to ShootTheHoot@cyberhoot.com. We read every single one. And next week, we're diving deep into custom training. We'll show off custom hoots. We'll reveal how to assign training like a pro and give you the keys to building programs that actually move the needle. Until then, keep hooting, keep learning, and don't forget, friend, your team. Hoot on. Hoot on.